Hi, my name is Rhona Etkin. I'm a registered nurse, and I'd very much like to speak to you today about some easy measures we can all take to stay safe from infection to help us stay well with what's going on now. As I mentioned, I'm a registered nurse. I've taught nursing, and I've also spent some time in the pharmaceutical world working with studies. The most important thing we can do to protect ourselves is hand washing. And I'll be showing you some information, and keep in mind you can find all of this information on the CDC website, which is www.cdc.gov. And we'll also make these handouts available to you. As I mentioned, hand washing is vital. Why? Well, first of all, we all have organisms on our skin. They belong there, they help us. But then we touch things and there are other microorganisms that aren't good for us. So we want to wash them off. And there's a way to wash that will protect us more. First of all, you want to wash your hands to stay healthy and get rid of those bad or naughty germs. So turn on your water, wet your hands well, and then you want to lather them. Now, germs have the best opportunity to grow in warm, dark, moist environments. So what does that mean for hand washing? It means you want to pay lots of attention to the space between your fingers and under your nails. So you've turned on your water, you're lathering your hands. And 20 seconds does not sound like a long time, but try it while you're washing your hands. It will seem long. So you're lathering your hands front and back. Scrub between your fingers because it's warm, dark, and moist there and germs will grow. Go under your nails and do this again and again and again until 20 seconds have gone by. An easy, simple way to make it 20 seconds and maybe make you laugh as well is to sing the happy birthday song twice. And that should be your 20 seconds. Secondly, a lot of people will say, well, I don't have antibacterial soap, I only have regular soap. Well, the studies have shown us so far that it doesn't seem to matter much what type of soap you use. The fact that you're doing the 20 seconds, the friction, that's what's important. Bar soap is not as good as liquid soap because if the bar of soap is in a puddle of water, that puddle of water may be full of those microorganisms. So keep your bar soap dry or else use liquid soap. Turn off the tap with your clean towel or paper towel and then throw your paper towel in the trash. If you're in a public restroom, I like to take that paper towel and open the door handle with the paper. Okay, so we've washed our hands, and again, it doesn't matter if it's regular soap or antibacterial soap. But sometimes we don't have soap. We don't have access to a sink. And then you would use hand sanitizer. Your hand sanitizer should be at least 60% alcohol. Put it on, again, go between your fingers and all around, and let it dry on its own. We know that hand sanitizer is very good, but in some cases with some microorganisms, it might not be as effective as that soap and water and friction. So hand sanitizer is a great substitute, but hand washing with soap and water is absolutely the best. You can find these handouts again on the CDC website. Wash your hands when you come into your home. Wash your hands if you've touched anything, if you've been around other people. You just want to wash as often as possible. Of course, you want to wash before you touch your face and do your best not to touch your face. Okay, so we've covered hand washing and we've covered hand sanitizer. Again, hand washing is the method of choice. I want to talk about gloves because many of us use gloves. You'll see people in restaurants using gloves, and they are a great barrier. But gloves can be a blessing and gloves can be dangerous depending on how they're used. So I'm going to put my gloves on. Now remember, you have normal organisms on your skin. I don't care if you've just scrubbed your hands or for how long. You still have microorganisms. And underneath your gloves, your skin is warm, dark, and moist. It's going to grow organisms. If you're around any situation where you think you need to protect yourself from other people, from touch, gloves are great. You may or may not be able to find them. When it's time to take your gloves off, that's really important that we do it the right way, because you've touched things with your gloves and you've used the gloves because you're touching things that could be compromised with infection. So you've got to be careful how you take them off, because you could be contaminating yourself or somebody else. So I'm not going to touch my skin. I'm going to touch the edge of the glove at the wrist, and I'm turning that glove inside out. I'm scooping it up in my gloved hand, and then I'm going to not touch my skin, but pull off the second glove going inside out. So my gloves are balled up and the contaminated outside is covered. I'm going to throw away my gloves, but remember, it was warm, dark, and moist under that glove. So it's very important that we wash, 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 because those organisms on your skin have just had optimal growing conditions and they've probably blossomed in a short time. So that's where I think gloves can be risky or a blessing depending on if it's used properly. A lot of people think masks are a good idea. They can be. But again, it depends on the situation. The coronavirus is very heavy droplets. So let's say someone sneezes. These are heavy droplets. They're not going to go all the way across the room. They're going to go about 2 feet and fall to a surface. So that surface now has coronavirus on it. Now, the mask may not be so helpful because these droplets haven't gone very far, but that surface is contaminated. And the CDC tells us that the germs will live on some surfaces longer than others. So until they can give us more information, I think we have to assume that tabletops, chairs, and things near people are contaminated. That's the safest way to go. If you're in a crowd, maybe a mask will help you, but for the most part, the best the mask will do is keep you from touching your face. Now, I wanted to bring up a couple of common things that people worry about with coronavirus. Yes, it's true that older people are more vulnerable. People over 60 have a bigger chance of becoming ill. People over 80 have an even bigger chance. So anyone could get it, but most of the complications come in that environment. People that have chronic health conditions are vulnerable at any age. What's a chronic condition? Diabetes, high blood pressure, anything breathing related, asthma, emphysema, people with compromised immune systems, any autoimmune diseases, lupus, people taking steroids for any reason. If you're on a medication, you might be more at risk. And again, the best thing you can do is to consult with your healthcare provider about any of the information I'm giving you, and sharing it with your healthcare provider and see how appropriate it is for you. There's a lot we don't know about this virus, but there are some things we do know. 83 to 98% of people with coronavirus will have a fever. So pretty much everyone. Half to 82% will have a cough. Less than half will have aches, pains, and tiredness. And about a third will have shortness of breath. An interesting thing the CDC says is when someone has coronavirus, the respiratory complications, which can make them very sick, often happen in the second week. Perhaps the most dangerous thing is that incubation period, the time between when you're exposed and when you get sick, can be anywhere from 2 to 14 days. So we don't really know we're carrying it if we don't feel sick. A third of the people getting very sick had those chronic health care conditions. And again, complications often occur in the second week. Travel will make you vulnerable. And so the CDC is recommending that older adults don't take cruises or long plane rides. I think we should limit our travel. If you're in the grocery store, you want to scrub your hands. If you live in an elevator building, you want to scrub your hands after touching buttons. If you're not sure, scrub your hands. Now, with all this frequent hand washing, you might find that your hands get really dry, and sometimes they get little cracks. You want to keep your hands moist with creams, because the little cracks are breaks in the skin, and the germs can get right into your body through those cracks. Last, I wanted to just bring up a couple questions that people have had and just go over that. And again, these questions are on the CDC website. Does coronavirus affect older people, or are younger people also susceptible? Anyone can catch it, but again, older people are more likely to have those chronic health conditions or compromised immune systems. We know that this infection was really big in China. If you buy something that was manufactured in China, is that at risk? Well, probably not, because that germ will only stay alive for a limited period of time. So goods coming from China, let's say you bought a sweater, it's probably fine. Are hand dryers effective in killing coronavirus? Actually, no. It's probably not hot enough. Can pets spread the coronavirus? Well, some coronaviruses can be transmitted to and from animals, so we aren't sure. Wash your hands. How effective are thermal scanners? Well, they detect fever, and people with coronavirus almost always have a fever. So yes, they're useful. Will vaccines against pneumonia protect you? No, they're apples and oranges. They will not protect you. Are antibiotics effective? No, antibiotics can kill bacteria or fungi. This is a virus. There are many, many studies going on right now. When I checked in the CDC website, I saw that there were 74 studies on coronavirus going on around the world. Some of them are looking at new medications to treat it. Some of it are looking at vaccines. There are a number of places working on vaccines that are pretty far along, but keep in mind, we have to test those new vaccines. So we have to protect ourselves for at least several weeks. We don't have any medicines at this point in time to treat this virus. The best treatment, again, is touch and hand washing. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me through Myerberg or take a peek at that CDC website, cdc.gov. And thanks for your time.